Again, welcoming everyone to mindfulness meditation here through Mind Body Solutions. I'm really grateful to be able to be here with everybody and investigate this practice of how can we more skillfully relate, be present with, and relate to our moment-to-moment experience. So we train here in these sessions in a relatively quiet environment. Sometimes there's distractions, either on my end or on yours, but relatively quiet compared to the running around that we do in a lot of the rest of our daily lives. But we do this training practicing with the intention to learn some new skills of how to be present, how to relate to our experience, so that we can take them out into our everyday life. So this isn't separate from our lives. And we talk about this all the time here, that this is just, it's a training, but it's a training that we take into our daily lives. So, but we are in this practice right here, right now. We do practice in a quiet way. And so we can begin the practice by just really landing here, letting go of whatever it took to arrive, the logging in, the whatever might have happened before. And we do an initial meditation to just really land here in this space. So welcoming you to take your meditation posture, whatever that is, whether you're sitting, standing, lying down, and just setting the intention to come inwards and let the bell transition us. And with the fading of the sound of the bell, if we're comfortable, we can let the eyes close so we don't have visual distraction. And we can just notice what's the mood of the mind right now? What's happening in this mind? Is it still spinning in all the arrival, or is it collapsing now that it's gotten quiet and there's not much distraction? Maybe it's leaning into wondering what's going to happen next. Just notice that general energy of the mind, not judging it. We just notice it's like this. And noticing what the feeling in the body is. Tingling, numbness, revved up, whatever. Just noticing the body energy. So just checking in is something we can do routinely. Just know how it is right now. This mind and this body are like this. And this process of paying attention, this noticing, is a way to, even just for a moment, drop whatever has been happening and just come and doing a checking in to not get caught in the whirlwind of thinking, of planning like we normally are doing, the doing, and just settling in. So let's set the intention during this meditation to just encourage the mind, the body to settle in. And we can do that by inviting an attentive posture so we can feel the groundedness, that support of the chair or the floor or whatever the body is resting on, that grounding, the solidity supporting us, and we can settle into that. But we don't collapse into it, we just feel supported, but we feel an uprightness, an alertness. But there's not tension in that uprightness, there's a relaxation. So we're balancing among these factors of the groundedness and the support, of the uprightness and of the relaxation, to coming to a balanced awareness of how it is right here, right now. And a good way to do this, especially given that our minds usually want to think. We want to ground in the sensation of this body right here, right now, to give the awareness something to do rather than its habit of thinking. So maybe we'll begin by just grounding in that sensation of the body being supported. So letting our awareness rest in the sensation of this body being supported by the chair, by the floor. Feeling that support. It's really a gift, right? We don't have to hold this body up. The ground is doing it for us. And can we just receive it and not collapse into it, but just a receptivity, the sensation of this body being grounded. Can we rest into it, relax into it, into this support, feeling that gift, receiving it, but receiving it with awareness. So noticing what the sensation of being grounded, supported feels like. The body is supported. Just as the body is resting on its support, the mind can rest in the body, however you perceive that. And notice if we can just rest there, or if the mind wants to wander off thinking or whatever, just noticing what the mind's doing. If it's wandered off, coming back to the sensation in the body. Just resting, this awareness of the body being supported, and the mind resting in this sensation of grounding. And maybe we notice that there's other sensations in the body besides just the grounding. Or specific grounding sensations. Maybe we feel the hands resting on the thighs or resting in each other. Maybe we feel the feet on the floor, the sensations of the hands and the feet. And the awareness can just receive those sensations as well. And the hands and the feet tend to be more sensitive, so there might be sensations of tingling, of hot or cold. It's maybe a little more interesting for the mind to be aware of. If the mind is a little restless, can we notice the changing sensations? And rest the awareness in this coming and going of sensation in the hands and the feet. And all of this is happening within the broad space of awareness. The mind, this expansive awareness, notices, receives sensations coming in from the body. And if thoughts arise, it receives those too. And we can notice if it gets caught in the thoughts, as is a habit to do. And you just reset the intention to receive the sensation of the body. Awareness, receiving sensations. Not reacting to them. Just being aware in a relaxed, settled way. Just receiving sensations. And maybe it's aware of the sensation of breathing. The rhythm of the breathing. And that's something else that the mind can find a place to rest in. That movement, the rhythm of the breath. The body breathes on its own, and we can just be aware of that. And noticing as the mind observes the rhythm of the breathing. Noticing if it feels calm, can rest there, or if it feels some tension, some of us have tension in the breathing process, we can notice that too. So we have these objects that we can let the mind receive. We can set an intention to notice them one by one and noticing the effect on the mind. So the mind aware of the support of the body by the chair, by the floor. Awareness of changing sensations. Awareness of the breath. And we can notice for this mind, this body right here, right now, where the mind can just rest and receive and be with. Be in balance with what it's receiving. Can we notice this? So in paying attention to this, we can observe how the mind changes moods, how it changes its relationship to different experiences, and we get to learn more about the habits of the mind, the moods of the mind, what leads to calm, what leads to ease, what leads to tension, what leads to anxiety. Get to know ourselves better. This is our practice. Can we notice this and remember what allows us to be in balance with all of these? It changes, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's like this right now. With the mind observing, receiving, moment to moment. So the bell transitions us from that, and just maybe before you fully come to the surface, just make a note of what you might have noticed during that meditation, those suggestions. What did lead to ease, to feeling a balance, of relaxation? And when did the mind add something to it that created tension? Maybe there was an uncomfortable experience, but if the mind didn't add the thinking process to it, make it worse, maybe you just be with it. And then bring the awareness back to the surface, to your surroundings, and to our presence right here. So that meditation, that exploration is something I've been playing with the past week or so. I just noticed how many times in conversations with people, or people comment about themselves, you go, what's wrong with you? You know, and so the question I've been asking myself is, like, what's right with you? So often we don't pay attention to what's right with ourselves or with other people. We only pay attention to what's wrong. Like, it's a habit of the mind. Our whole society, the whole wanting of our society, there's always something else that's going to make us happier, or we need to fix somebody and then everything's going to be okay. There's always something wrong, and there's a reason for that. I mean, it's in our DNA. This is how we survived in the wild, but for most of us, we're not continually having to protect ourselves from threats, yet we still have an underlying habit of noticing what's wrong rather than what's right. And it doesn't mean that there's nothing that's ever wrong in our lives, but we tend to focus on that and not on what is okay, what's in balance. And this whole right and wrong thing, that's a societal thing too. So we think of wrong as something bad and right as something good. But could we think of right as kind of like the Goldilocks, this one's too hot, this one's too cold, this one's just right, right? It's something that's in balance, it's okay, it's in the middle. And, can we notice when things are just balanced? They may not be over the top fabulous, but they're okay. Like, can this be okay? And again, that's not something that is emphasized very much in our culture. We're always looking for the next big thrill or the next thing to complain about. But where can we find the rightness and the balance? And can we be comfortable with that? Can okay be okay rather than having to be revved up? Because I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I find myself just chasing after that next thing that might make me feel better, when maybe this is okay. Can I just be in balance with what's here, this body, this mind, even if there's a little discomfort, rather than the story that the thinking mind has been trained to make up, to create of there might be something better, or this is horrible and it's only going to get worse, so we can notice what the habits of the thinking mind are. And we've talked about this before as it relates to pain and as it relates to some other things, that we can add layers that make experience more difficult or make us want something, when what's happening right now is maybe it's just okay, or maybe it's tolerable. It might not be pleasant, but it might be tolerable. So can we just receive what's happening and be in balance with it rather than tipping the balance by our reactivity to it? And maybe more important, when there is something that's negative, is it the only thing that's happening, or is it what we're paying attention to? And is there something else? Is there a way that we could invite our awareness to pay attention to notice that there is something else happening that is calming, that is more in balance than the thing that we are distracted by, that we were intrigued by, or that we wanted to push away or whatever. So this is a way of practicing, again, in the quiet of meditation. We can explore this possibility, and we can notice how much the thinking mind, creating stories, changes the way that we relate experience. And so you'll notice a lot of times, those of you who have been doing this for a while, or even if you're new, you'll notice that Nancy and I bring it back to awareness of the body quite often, because paying attention to that direct experience without the added layer of our narrative about it, just that alone sometimes can be calming. And I know, a lot of us are working with physical pain or even mental pain that can make some of these things uncomfortable, but we can notice, yes, there's discomfort, but is the narrative mind adding something even more to that makes it even more uncomfortable, or makes me want something even more? So that's why we practice coming into the body, because the body is a place where we can rest our attention, just have that receptive awareness to what's happening in the body. And we can actually use sensations in the body, kind of like what I was inviting in that opening meditation. There's things we can notice in body sensation, that sense of grounding. And again, mind body solutions, we teach this in yoga classes too. There's things that we can bring the awareness to, that sense of groundedness, that support, or the sense of rhythm, the rhythm of the breath, that kind of rhythmic motion can help ease the mind if we allow the mind to pay attention to that rather than whatever is setting us off. Or the sense of spaciousness, by opening to just this receptive awareness, or even a sense of space around the body or in the body by opening the chest. We can use these things to help bring the body into balance. And as we often talk about, if the body's in balance, that helps the mind to be in balance. So the mind and the body aren't separate. And so we use the mind to pay attention to the body, how to bring balance in the body. It brings balance to the mind, and the whole thing can just settle down. And we can feel the relief that comes from that settling, versus the running around that we do the rest of the time. And then, of course, we practice it in the quiet here, and then can we take that kind of awareness into our everyday activities and we feel ourselves really revved up, can we invite one of those sensations to reground in the body, to allow ourselves to calm down? So that what is right, we use the body to reground awareness in the body. So it helps us to find out what's right with ourselves. And then, of course, we can notice when we're thinking that there's something not right with somebody else, but we can notice our reactivity. And that's where we start to work with our mind and the habits of the mind and complaining, the not good enough, the wanting more, and inviting the possibility of contentment or gratitude or kindness for ourselves or for others. So this bringing into balance, we're just playing here in our practice with different ways of relating to experience and just seeing how they land. But by inviting the mind to explore that, then it may be something that just then, if we practice enough, then it just naturally emerges when we're in a situation where things aren't right, where they are out of balance in the body or the mind, our reaction or reactivity to ourselves or others. So this is why we practice this stuff. So that's that's what I've been thinking about. And again, hopefully that first meditation helped you explore some of that coming into the body. And so I just invite you to be, curious again, as I always do, inviting the curiosity, like how is this mind relating to the experience? Can it just be receptive? Can it invite another possibility of a way of relating? Can we play with these different practices and notice what the effect is on the mind and the body? And noticing, again, cause and effect, what's helpful and what doesn't feel helpful. Today when we practice, tomorrow when you practice, it may be totally different, but inviting curiosity. So let's practice. Enough talk, let's practice. So inviting you to take your meditation seat again, feeling that groundedness on your support. And again, closing the eyes if you're comfortable to decrease the visual distraction. So turning the attention inwards, and we'll let the bell transition us again from all the talking to some practicing, exploration. So the bell reminds us that we're transitioning to something different. This idea of coming inward and doing this exploration to get to know the habits of the mind and the body, to explore possibilities for relating to experience in a balanced, comfortable, relaxed way. In the middle of it, not pushed around, not creating, just being aware, receptive awareness. And so once again, as we did in the first meditation, we can start by feeling that sense of support on the chair, on the floor, body, the gift of being supported, and receiving that. Feeling the body supported, and noticing if the mind can feel grounded, supported in this body, just like the body is supported in the chair or the floor. So you're feeling that grounding, but not a sinking, a sense of uprightness, a lifting, an awareness, alertness, curiosity, maybe even a little spaciousness. This upright, grounded, and relaxed body and mind. So sitting balanced in these three intentions. So we can revisit the sensations we explored in the first meditation, feeling this sense of groundedness, of support, and how the mind responds to that. Does the mind feel supported and just receives it, settled in? Can it rest there? Or is the mind restless and feeling like it can't relax there? Just noticing, how is it with this mind, noticing the sensation of grounding? We don't judge, we just notice. If the mind is a little restless, maybe we can turn the attention from the solidity of the body resting to the sensations in the body, the hands and the feet, tingling, sensation, cold or warmth, sensations coming and going. So even within this groundedness of the awareness in the body, there's movement. Can the mind be with this movement, but not restless, just receiving, noticing? The mind receiving sensation from the body is like this. And we can notice if the thinking mind is adding anything to this experience. It's gone to sleep, or if it's restless, adding a story or layers, and just noticing the effect and regrounding in the sensations in the body. Maybe transitioning to the sensation of the breath, of the breathing. Maybe you feel it in the nose, or in the throat, or in the belly, the chest, the rhythmic breathing. Noticing if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, maybe we can just feel the energy of the whole body breathing, receiving energy on the inhalation, and letting go on the exhalation. Just feeling the rhythm of the body breathing on its own. There's nothing to do, just observe, receive. Breathing in is like this, breathing out is like this. Can then the mind rest in a balance in this rhythm. Just feel that settle into the rhythm. We're noticing if the mind is disturbed by that movement and wants something more still, like the grounding. We don't have to think this, right? We're not using the thinking mind. We're receiving these sensations. And with this receptivity, we notice the effects. We're not thinking about it, we're feeling it. Mind receiving sensation of breathing is like this. And noticing whether this leads to calm, whether it leads to falling asleep. Maybe it leads to agitation, just noticing what the effect is. So of these experiencing grounding, rhythm, being held in the space of awareness, where can the mind settle? Where can the mind feel calm? So just notice for your mind right here, right now, which of those experiences felt balanced and calm, and let the mind rest there in that experience in the body. The rhythm of the breath, awareness of sensation, grounding and support. Where can the mind settle and rest? What leads to harmony in the mind and the body? And maybe for you right now, the answer is nothing. Maybe the mind is restless, maybe it's got an agenda. And you can notice that too, and notice how that feels in the mind and the body. So we train the mind to pay attention to sensations in the body, to give it something to do other than just thinking, and we can notice the effect on the mind and the body. So this settling into body sensations is one practice, but as we're looking for what's right or what's balanced, we can also look at our mental states. So maybe we're starting to collapse out of boredom instead of being calm or balanced. Maybe there was agitation, the mind restless, wanting something else. And we can notice the mind state. So what is the state of mind right now? Can we notice if there's restlessness or boredom, or if there's contentment? And these balanced mind states like contentment, a sense of kindness to ourselves, of gratitude for being aware at all. These kinds of mind states are ones that we can invite to help balance out if there is agitation or boredom in the mind. So just notice maybe what the general state of the mind is and what might be helpful. If there's restlessness, can we notice any kind of contentment with a sensation? Or if there's restlessness, can we just have compassion and kindness for this restless mind, this restless body? So rather than judging it and not liking it, can we just be with it, inviting a mind state of kindness, contentment. So inviting this way of relating, inviting these mind states, or another way to let go of the habit of judging, of not liking how the mind is right now. Instead, exploring the possibility of kindness, compassion, contentment, maybe even gratitude. So what might be helpful? We notice the body sensation, the mood of the mind. We notice how we're relating to these things. If something's out of balance, what mind state might be helpful to invite? So choose a word: kindness, compassion, contentment, gratitude, ease. You can't force it, but just have it be an invitation. Just rest in the word that you've chosen. And notice the effect. Just let the mind just be with this intention, contentment, ease, kindness. Repeat the word in the mind and see how it's received. And we offer it as a gift. As a possibility for experience. And maybe the mind's resisting this practice, saying, I don't like this. Maybe you just have compassion, noticing the resistance, noticing what it feels like. And if the mind's really uncomfortable, we can just rest back in the body. So what can we invite, receive as a gift to give ourselves? To invite balance, settling. Contentment. We notice the effect. And so we can try these practices as a way of relating to our own experience. We do this to help bring ourselves into balance so that we can be in balance when we interact with the world. And we can use these same practices when we're interacting with other people. So thinking about the possibility of, if you're irritated by someone, is it possible to invite compassion, kindness for the other person, or compassion for yourself? Feeling the irritation, inviting compassion. It's a different way of being with this experience, because the experience is what it is. So we practice setting these intentions in this quiet way. And you can just reflect now on what of these practices awareness of the body allowed you to feel settled, balanced, grounding, rhythm, space. And which intentions of the mind allowed you to relax a little bit more into your experience: kindness, contentment, gratitude, compassion. So just notice the effect here. And set an intention to explore this further when we sit again, or when we're out in the world with other people. So we do this for our benefit, to be more at ease, more harmony with the world. We do it for the benefit of all beings, everyone we come in contact with. In the middleness, balanced in this experience, moment to moment. The bell invites us to transition. Bring the awareness back from what you may have noticed. So I just encourage you to play with some of these. It may or may not have worked if this is the first time you've tried this kind of practice, but just this invitation to have the curiosity, the playfulness, investigating it. These are all really helpful in exploring how to relate with the mind and the body in a way that brings more ease, more balance, more harmony. So just encourage you to do that. Look forward to when we meet again, and